We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. That's nuts. Make sure to hit the red button to support the channel. And also, we're not gonna talk about the voice thing. I'll bring it up later. Don't even worry about it. I will be getting back to finishing that plushie humanization series that I started. Made a commitment to it, and I've been working hard on the illustrations. While working on them, however, I've noticed something sort of interesting. I've been listening to a lot of long-form videos, so I don't have to switch what I'm doing while recording. Sure, I could always edit out the tab switches, but that's more work that I really don't want to do. Doing that, however, means I've been listening to a lot of video essay and documentary-style content. It seems like when you click on one video, YouTube has a whole catalog it'll recommend to you. With that catalog, there is a disparity in genre, I'd say. I love ones like Defunct Land that go into the history of a place or a cartoon series, but when looking at those, you know it is impossible to stay away from the interpersonal drama videos. Some are fact, here's a scholarly article to back up why this is harmful, here's where you can find this information on your own and do your own research. Meanwhile, some others are more along the lines of, what is up, girly boss pussy queen, are you ready for today's tea? Before describing literal crimes. One is better entertainment than the other, and one is better for informational purposes. I know that personally, it's easier to listen to the more emotion-fueled, gossipy ones while working because I want to click over and actually look at the graphics for more informational videos. It made me get to thinking, full on putting my tablet pin down, staring into the void, and losing time thinking. Does that easy listenability make one inherently better than the other? Or does that mean the informative genre is superior because I actively want to pause what I'm doing and look at it? Where's the cutoff between them, and why is there such a flood of this material right now? Most importantly of all, however, why are so many creators behind this style of tea, tabloid, and even journalism content being outed as absolutely abhorrible human beings? Today, I want to just lay out my thoughts and share some of the conclusions that I've at least come to while pondering over these during hours upon hours of drawing. Hey, hi-yo-ya out there to all my big brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, and, of course, mommies, daddies, siblings, and guardians. It's me, your bite-sized baddie and favorite little brother Mark. Everyone likes to feel like they're doing good and being a good person. Or, at the very least, they like to feel like they're not being an actively bad person. Whether they get the feeling from donating to charity, volunteering for community service, or just lending an ear to your friend, to a lot of people it feels like doing something that's good makes you inherently good. Be it from an altruistic desire to make the world a better place, or if it's because you want to be seen as a good person by others, is a moral dilemma for another day, because, in the end, to me, being a good person is usually something we can all agree is to be strived for. With that being the case, many find themselves drawn to media that shares that feeling. Stuff that calls out injustice and uplifts those who've been wronged. Media that promotes itself as being innately good, made by people who call themselves to be trusted on the subject of said goodness. Media that implies you are good for watching it. So why is it, as of late, that people who pride themselves on being those quote-unquote good people who report for the underdogs and who try and call attention to those injustices, more and more are being found out as less than favorable? Is it a case of popularity going to their heads, or is it a matter of corruption at the root? Today I want to focus on specific instances, being Creepshow Art, Illuminati, Spoctor Tech, and a couple more niche commentary channels who have imposed themselves as moral paragons in the commentary and long-form video, that being any video of 20 minutes or more sphere, have all been called out over the past 2 years or so as being, well, less than the stellar model commentary citizens that they claimed to be, whether that claim was made directly or implied through their content. They all purported themselves as people you can trust with your issues, sometimes even taking on small cases that barely anyone had heard of at the time just to, quote, bring awareness to whatever issue was at hand. Each of them acted in varying degrees as impartial parties who research their subjects and state the facts. Whether that be about shady business practices, a dumpster nugget, or whatever Shannon would call an actual child predator, or even just the small-time issues that even smaller-time artists and animators found themselves in. Each, either via purported professionalism or through direct statements of, "You can trust me," seemed like people who could be trusted to give you the lowdown on who did what wrong in any given situation, but who would also give you a quick note that you should come to your own conclusions and do your own research in the end. That seems all well and good on its own, but how many people will actually go out and do their own research when listening to who they think to be a trusted, mostly impartial when needed, source? Of course, the burden of research is always on the watcher or listener, but when looking at how each of these creators have been found to act in direct opposition of their advertised values, one has to wonder how much their biases slipped through the cracks. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, Creepshow Art, Shannon, was an art commentary channel who was known for her inflammatory personality and strong support of marginalized peoples. Whether they be small artists wronged by someone else, LGBTQ creators being harassed, or people of color facing racism, Shannon used many a quirky millennial word to tell us just how nasty people were being and just how much she hated it and would never be caught doing the same. In the end, she was caught doing the same. The girl was found to be on lolcow, saying transphobic and homophobic things, slut-shaming and spreading rumors, and just all-around shit-talking. As I said, acting in direct opposition of her advertised morals. The situation goes deeper with allegations of stalking and harassment, but that's the bare minimum you need to know about that situation. Illuminati, Blair, is a more serious documentary channel known for calling out corporate crooks, bad charities, abusive employers, and occasionally breaking the more sanitized personality she shows on the channel to say just how disgusted she thinks these cruel capitalists and crypto bros are. She would never think to do something so horrible. Blair has been called out as a crooked capitalist. Allegedly! Gotta add that in there because I don't want to be added to the list of people who are getting C&D'd from her. She was an abusive employer who manipulated her younger employees and even significant other into disgustingly lopsided contracts that would leave her always as the winner and those under her thumb always in debt. That, coupled with her supposed crypto farm after discussing the environmental detriment of crypto mining, it was yet another instance of do as I say, not as I do. That's not even talking about how she has allegedly treated her former co-stars on the Reddit commentary channel Sad Milk, where it is, again, alleged that she was going around spreading rumors and trying to stoke the flames of fires that she herself lit under a different persona. As for one Mr. Spoctor Tech, his situation is just a skosh different. From making commentaries on niche DeviantArt user dramas and into saying a whole lot of nothing about the issue surrounding Hopeless Peaches, his content was never the best organized, in my opinion. Stuttered and at times filled to the brim with misinformation like in his DID video, he somehow managed to stay a respected member of the commentary community for a long time, even after his content started to let more and more mistakes and untruths slip through. I think his opinion was held in slightly higher regard because of the false allegations made against him in 2018, where a few other commentary channels got together to call him a pedo and abuser. Ultimately, these claims were found to be false, and the vitriol that Spoctor faced was honestly disgusting. I think he was able to get away with his content slipping, so to speak, for so long, specifically because people still felt bad about that and didn't want to create another Spoctor situation. I talked about this in my video concerning the situation that Peaches went through, and I talked about it, I believe, in my first video about what happened with Shannon. It's become something infamous within the community. However, this past year, it came to light through the Lizard's own admission that he, was in possession of CP. Obtained while he was a minor, but the dude himself says that he found it weird that he kept a hold of these young teenager nudes. So, what's the deal here? I'm just a guy who shares his feelings about stuff online. I know I've got my own personal biases here and there, and am no expert when it comes to psychology. So, as always, take what I'm about to say with a pinch of salt before the lime as you listen to my pinboard wall style ramblings. And of course, do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Why do I think this happens? This being people who claim to be paragons of goodness and being right vis-a-vis passing their judgment over others, a lot of the time with very little compassion for their subject, turning out to be bad. In the end, I think it really comes down to the current state of the world at a base level. See, things are really scary right now. There's 2 wars going on. Tensions between many countries are high. Factions of people with very opposing ideals are becoming more and more radical in showing their beliefs all over the United States, at the very least. And it kind of feels hopeless. I'm just one person. My parents are just 2 one-persons. All of you watching are also just one person. Even when you are part of a community, be it an online Discord or a real-life club, seeing all this big bad stuff happening is scary and feels isolating. Hell, just the fact that nowhere in the United States of America actually pays a livable minimum wage that would let you have shelter, food, and transportation makes things scary enough on its own, entirely disregarding the fact that you might get stabbed or blown away anywhere you go by someone else who is also disenfranchised by life right now. We, as a people, are in a depression. Not just emotionally, but the signs of an incoming and kind of current economic recession are all over the world. It's hard to simply live and not get burnt out by thinking about all of the bad that's out there right now. This is where that makes you feel like a good person content comes in. These video essays and little commentary videos, by the nature of how they work, make you feel like a part of something. Whether that something be railing against a multi-million-dollar scam corporation, learning about an artist who's a bigot, or hearing about ludicrous drama happening between other people's friend groups, it makes the listener think, hey, I'm not that bad. I can learn from this and make sure I don't do the same thing. I cannot support that company or block that artist or take solace in the fact that me and my friends aren't that chronically online. And from there, it feels a bit uplifting. You too can make the world a better place just by sitting on your booty and listening to this while you draw or fill out a spreadsheet. Yes, I see you over there in your desk chair. Joking aside, I can't really blame people for wanting that. Even on an instinctual level, it takes so much energy just to be alive these days. And I don't know about y'all, but masking has become much more difficult ever since the lockdown. It feels like my brain got a little too safe, just being entirely my neurodivergent self around my family, that it has to work twice as hard to be half as quote-unquote normal these days. Being able to get a little bit of dopamine to feel like you're somehow helping just by listening to a video when you're too tired to go out and volunteer or too poor to donate to a charity that might not even properly allocate the funds you give is probably a nice saving grace to many people. So, no, I can't really blame the viewer for wanting to hear inspiration porn or something that feels good in general. Who I can blame are the people who decide to commodify that feeling or morality while not upholding the same values that they're spouting. Cutting right to the chase of it, appearing to be on a moral high ground is profitable. Call it virtue signaling, call it a facade, call it whatever the hell you like. It's been a factor for ages. How do you think the church industrial complex gets so many donations each year? They make their parishioners feel like it's their moral obligation to be good people and give money to the church. By making emotionally fueled videos, bringing awareness to people and situations that are labeled as bad from the jump, it finishes the if-then statement for you. If this person/company/whatever is bad, then learning why and acting accordingly is good. it may be entertaining, I guess, to listen to the misery of others, ignoring your own plight to hear about how someone hurt others in a sense of schadenfreude. But in the end, the morality boost is the real desired hook in a lot of this type of exposé video content. Not to say all of it, but a good bit of it is there to make you feel outraged on others' behalf. It's usurious to an extent. While many make this type of bringing awareness video simply because they found out about it and are appalled, well, it brings me to the meat and potatoes here. The reason we're seeing many more unsavory sides to the people who go out of their way to tout themselves as a voice of reason or some sort of paragon that you should always listen to, I think, is that the type of people it takes to truly make a living tattling on even the worst of the worst and constantly looking for drama to go over or always looking for a way to make a hook out of a horrible situation is that they probably aren't the nicest people to begin with. Don't get me wrong, being a documentarian is very hard and important work. I think many creators do it well, with The Right Opinion being one of my favorites when it comes to YouTube creators. But that's not exactly what the three main creators I brought up earlier did or were known for. Shannon was known very well for putting heavy emotion into her content and flaming her video subjects. Spoctor, on many occasions, put out videos with very little in terms of reputable sources, and a lot more by way of emotional interpretation of the actions and conditions of others. Blair was by far the closest thing to being a documentarian in the neutral sense of dictating the facts of a situation, but even she put her own emotional pleas into state when she personally found a situation teddy bonkers or otherwise abhorrent. Not to mention the content farm state of her channel and the lack of proper credits. A good essay, no matter what type, should always have an interesting hook or a point that it's trying to make. Whether that point is Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination led directly to the creation of tentacle hentai, or simply Thing Bad, you need to properly research your claims and back up your assertions with more than a "I feel this way" or strawman misinterpretations with hasty generalization fallacies, or a lack of proper credits given. While it's not wrong to add your emotional context to a subject, and in many cases it's necessary for audience retention, it does become an issue when your emotion on a subject warps your perception of the facts in a situation instead of the other way around. I don't think all people who make long-form video essay content on people or corporations are inherently skeevy, or most likely stalkers in disguise, but I do think the fact that this keeps happening should be noted and thought about depthfully. Why did these people get into commentary and amateur journalism? Was it from a place of wanting to say their thoughts and feelings and actually report on issues? Or was it just for profit? As we've seen with specifically Blair's history in this content creation sphere, it seems like she bounced around and would change what morals and ethos she would spout depending on what was most profitable at the time. Be that her horrible satirization of a SJW in the past when it was profitable, to her in the past few years being seen as someone who's very socially conscious. Many aren't exactly forthcoming about their desires when it comes to this specific topic. You'll occasionally get a D'Angelo Wallace who admits when he's padding time to get that sweet 10-minute ad revenue, but a lot of the time, we'll never know what someone's true motives and feelings are on the internet, or especially on TV. Remember when it came out that fucker Tarlson never actually believed half of the absolutely off-the-wall incoherent stuff he was saying on network television, and that he only said that nuts bigoted stuff to get a rise out of or to embolden the unstable watchers in his audience? Yeah, the same should be kept in mind for everyone online. Yes, Buster, people would go on the internet and lie. It's a fact of life, unfortunately, that money makes the world go round. And a lot of people hoping to capitalize off of your desire to feel good while listening to their videos will change their views publicly to ensure maximum profits. They may embellish a number here, plagiarize a segment of their video there, say something they don't believe or that is absolutely abhorrent, or just whatever the current popular mentality is to get clicks. If they seem like the good guy, then you root for them. If the good guy says that buying their memberships, merchandise, t-shirts, and makeshift plushies will help them keep being a good guy, then you might just buy into them. You're not just supporting an indie creator, no! You're also showing the world that you agree with their good guy beliefs. You'll never know who is or isn't a creep or an abuser until you see their true colors. And those hues are hidden to everyone other than ocean shrimps when your only relationship to someone is being a viewer in a crowd. And heck, sometimes people who you think are close friends and would never lie to you wind up being the kind to shit-talk you on lolcow and kiwi farms. So sometimes you really never know someone until their true self is forcibly ripped to shreds in the open. Looking back, there are clear echoes of not actually being the smartest or most benevolent people in each of these three creators. Sure, the mask seemed to slip further and further the closer we got to the inevitable fallout, but that doesn't change the fact that Spoctor called a girl who was being relentlessly bullied by the entire internet a broken person for expressing her feelings. It doesn't change the fact that Illuminati was consistently getting into spats with other content creators and had a bit of a featherweight trigger finger. It doesn't stop the fact that Creepshow Art was just a really unlikable person that the art commentary community gave too much credence to simply because she was bombastically mean with the guise of being brutally honest. But Mark, I hear you asking, does this mean every single person who makes drama coverage style commentary videos is someone we can't trust? If we can never know, how will we know who we can trust and watch? And to that, my adorablistic dinosaur-shaped chicken nugget, I say as I pull you close to my bosom, the answer is you fucking don't. Don't trust content creators to have your or anyone other than their own best interest at heart. The only way to approach this, as well as any other type of content creator online, is to take everything they say with a grain of salt. Markiplier is not your friend. Corey X Kenshin is not your bud or confidant. Take every call-out post you see, no matter how convincing the evidence, with an absolute mound of salt. Always do your own research and wait until every side in a public debacle has said their piece, and then use the walnut inside your nog to draw your own conclusions. Of course, you should offer compassion to prospective victims. That should go without saying. But man, I am so sick and tired of seeing posts along the lines of, "You have 1 day to block popular YouTube X, or else I will add you to my public abuser sympathizer list," when a call-out post was just made by someone on a burner account and the accused hasn't even had the time to read through the whole 50-plus page Google form. The responsibility of being lied to does not lie on the audience. When someone does something bad, the only person at fault is the one who committed the act of bad. But as consumers of products and of media, we have to protect ourselves. Let your brain develop some nice grooves by searching things up for yourself and doing some critical thinking exercises. Does that mean I think video essays are bad, or that commentary and documentary style videos are not worthwhile to listen to? Absolutely not. I think people who are, for example, calling out and compiling evidence of the yucko stuff Tall Knight has done are right for doing it. I listen to videos about past altercations and random Sonic community drama that's in my recommendations while working on commissions all the time. On the internet, though, where the standards for the truth and who is telling it are so unregulated, you need to see most of this content as entertainment, and those presenting it as actors. And that really sucks when these issues allegedly involve real people, but you can't trust a lot of what other people are saying past just putting the information in a catalog within your brain. So if it's ever brought up, you can be, oh wait, I know that guy. If their one video is the only place you can find this information, it's super important to contemplate about whether or not it's true. What did they have to gain by saying this versus what did they have to lose? Where are they getting this information from? Is it an interview that they conducted? Or is it hearsay that they got from someone in a Discord server that got it from someone on Skype years ago? Someone calling out another content creator with accusations of them being a big meanie with very few screenshots and no context behind them is probably not the most reputable source to base your entire judgment of another human being off of, you know? These videos should be jumping off points for you. Don't let yourself be spoon-fed everything you learn, because you never know what's been mixed into the pudding, or if the spoon itself is clean, so to speak. I feel like a broken record when I talk about things like this, because my answer is always, use your brain, please. But honestly, that's the solution to most things in life. Be wary of who you trust and how they act. Honestly, I have no clue how Creepshowheart stuck around for so long online when she was just like that. Abrasive to the point of cruelty and always doing things to the extreme, no matter the situation or severity. But maybe Shannon lasted so long because she was seen as the inherently correct one. The one calling out horrible people and predators, which means anyone who incurred her wrath must deserve their public flogging. No doy, you don't need to be nice when you're calling out a pedo. But when it comes to making videos about random tabloid nonsense or someone else's abuse, I think that discretion and tone should really be thought through with tact. Thank you so much for getting through to the end of this video. I said I'd talk about my voice, but I'm not gonna do it right now. Let's just say that I don't wanna always do the silly Mark voice. Sometimes I'll still do it on stream, but I'm trying to kind of phase it out for my own vocal cords' sake. Thank you so much to my one-dabulous Patreon supporters. At our brother, sibling, sister tier, we have Minnow, Miss Mercuriel, and Viri. At our mommies, daddies, and guardians tier, we have Mary, Isabel Marks, and Kiryu, thank you mommies and daddies. And at our gods, goddesses, and deities tier, we have gods and punks. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. It honestly means the world to me. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want. As always, you don't have to, but if you do, I'll get to see you in the next video. I love you, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, happy every winter holiday that I can't currently think of. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! The content fart. Content fart? Whoa. Good God.